Okay, I work in an office which is embedded in investment banking. We do the desktop publishing support work for a particular investment banking team, R.W. Baird, here in Milwaukee. And we also work with Chicago and bankers through around the world. And a big part of their job and our job is to look at and interpret, and for them to create what we call markups, which are just rough drafts, sketches of either edits or new pages that they would want in some of these books. And these aren't directly from the bankers, the one I'm going to show you, but they're some training materials that I worked on when I was first starting, which represent markups. Okay, they're very close to what you would see. So in this particular slide, there's a title, subtitle. The boxes on the left would be filled with a color. The text would be a bold white. So those are sort of like header boxes or header objects on the left row there, or excuse me, on the left column. And the rows are separated by light gray lines. Okay, and then another concept that we have in this particular job is the idea of a writer. And a writer is just something that's going to go into a spot. You know, they call it either a bucket or into an entire table, into an entire page, part of a page, etc. In this case, writer A is going to be the text, probably bullet points that are going to go into the two columns: consideration, objectives, and recommendations. There'll be 3 rows and 2 columns. And as you see, you probably can't see the whole thing, but it's in this case I think it was probably a Word document. Sometimes it's in the body of an email, and very often they will do the formatting for us to give us an idea of how they want the hierarchy. You know, they've got, you know, major points separated by bullet points in this case. So that's how we would do it, and then there's sub bullets as well. Now we have a particular format for how we would do it, but you know, we would have to change it after we copy and paste the text into that table. So this writer belongs to that markup. Okay, just going to give you a couple examples. Here's another one. So there'd be a logo in the upper left, again title, subtitles, and you can see they sketched out where they want text. And it's going to be bullets. They just drew simple little bullet shapes. That's how we format our bullets, generally speaking. They're little squares filled in normally. And we use brackets. Usually not even the word text is in them. You know, just if you have a bracket after a bullet point, it's just obvious it's going to be text. But you can bracket anything. You know, bracket is a way of saying different things, but it's not final. That's the idea. It's like something in lieu of something that needs to get changed before the final version. Okay, so you can bracket. You can use brackets and then insert the word pick, and you'll know that a pick is supposed to be there. You can insert, you know, just little comments like, please think about reordering this, you know, things like that. And so brackets are just an in lieu of symbol. Okay, and here it says to come. That's an example. Probably will be some kind of chart in the lower left quadrant or bucket. Total debt in the upper right bucket. A shape box like that is just usually put on rows when you're working with a lot of financial information. Our standard is to do a total row, which would be either bold or highlighted by a colored box with white text. And again, that's emphasis because you're emphasizing the totals. And you can see the header boxes on each of the 4 quadrants are underlined as well to emphasize that these are the main points and that everything underneath them is part of that main point. Okay, and in the lower right, underneath potential sources, you know, there's just a little handwritten note, and you can just write all over the place if you feel like it when you're doing roughs. In this case, it says all logos in alpha order. Okay, and they wrote out the names of the companies where they want the logos. Okay, you know, you got this time they're kind of showing you that it's going to be a line chart. Shorthand would be a squiggly line, like that's a line chart, and if they did little, you know, little either vertical or horizontal rectangles, you would know that it's a bar chart. You can do that really quickly, and it's just a shorthand of saying line chart here, bar chart here. And you can do both, okay, at the same time if you want. They did brackets, which are a little note. In this case, it would be a note to the people working on this to add annotations from a writer called Dracula. And the name of this overall project, which was a training project, was called Dracula. Dracula annotations.doc. It's a Word document. So annotations are boxes. Well, in this case, they're boxes with leader lines pointing to probably a date along the timeline of the data, and then you would type text inside the box. Our standard for annotations like this would be to do a black outline around the box, a thin black outline, probably like a point, text, black text inside, white fill inside, and then a simple black leader line which points to the date. Okay. Excuse me. Okay, so for this one, they're showing you're going to put a calendar on top, and this particular calendar would just be 4 of the months, 2007, and not all 12 months of the year. And then again, there would be a table on the bottom, a title, and then 2 table headers, and 3 rows. And again, there would be a writer, which would be the text to go inside the table. In this case, again, it's text, a bulleted list, same kind of writer as I showed you earlier. Here would be a graphic object, which is a logo in the middle, and then 3 circular arrows with text curving on the inside of each one. The circular arrows typically would be colored, each a separate color, to emphasize that there's 3 categories. And then the text inside would be white and bold, to emphasize its importance, larger than the body copy text. And again, headers, title, headers, and bulleted text. A lot of the stuff we do is kind of boring, actually. Then in the majority of the right-hand side of the page, there'd be a bridge chart, sketching out bar charts. These would be 2 stacked bar charts with legends on the top indicating which the categories are, and then the horizontal axis titles, bullet points. In this case, even though I'm not sure what kind of a book this would be, it's a hypothetical practice assignment, but in this case they drew that they'd want circle bullets instead of square bullets. And the same thing, logos and bar charts, and kind of the same thing, more of the same.